So, I'm trying to do the Skyhill hat and mittens. And for the hat, it wants 19 stitches for 4-inch. And she wants me to use US 8 needles. But for this, the Eastwind jacket, I can't think, my brain is like dead. For the Eastwind jacket, I was originally supposed to have, if you remember, you probably don't, it was something like 21 stitches. Yeah, it was supposed to be 21 stitches per 4-inch, but I could not get that with this yarn. So I ended up using a US 5. Yep, a US 5, and getting 19 stitches per 4-inch. So if I'm supposed to get 19 stitches per 4-inch, I should probably use a US 5 again for the hat. And that's with worsted weight. This is supposed to be a bulky weight hat and mittens. I'm probably just going to use this worsted weight with a US 5 to do the hat and mittens. I don't know where I got the idea that this was a bulky weight pattern. It's 2 DKs held together. So that is a worsted weight pattern, which makes a lot more sense. You know, my needle size is different, but it's not that different. So I don't know why I thought that. The pattern does not say that it's bulky weight anywhere. Just says it's 2 double-stranded DK weight. Maybe the thick and squishy can, I don't know. I don't know where I got that idea. But this is how it's coming along so far. I just did a little bit. It's a really cool pattern. It's reversible. It looks so simple. And it's not complicated. It's interesting to do and easy to do, but the design is really interesting. I wanted to clarify a little bit more. During one of my last vlogs, I talked about what to do if you could not get gauge with the project and you wanted to knit a different size instead of changing your needle size. So for this project, I'm using Cascade 220, which is worsted weight. And I'm pretty sure, even though this pattern calls for worsted weight, or at least on Ravelry it did, I think it did. In here, it's a DK held together with mohair. So it's probably like a light worsted weight, really. There was just no way I was gonna get the correct gauge. Even with a smaller and smaller needle, it was just not happening. So I decided to change the size that I was gonna knit. So I was going to originally knit a size 3, which was gonna have a 60.5 inch bust circumference. And a size 2 was a 53 bust circumference. Yeah. So instead of knitting with a gauge of 21 stitches per inch and knitting size 3, I was going to knit with a 19 stitches per 4 inch and knit a size 2. And to calculate what size I would get if I did that, just to make sure everything's going to fit correctly, I used this calculation, which I showed last time. Just, I might put it on the screen so you can read it easier. But what you do is you take your pattern gauge, 21 stitches per 4 inch, and you divide that by the gauge you got. So I got 19. I divided 21 by 19. And then to figure out what the new circumference would be, I multiplied that by the pattern circumference. So for a size 2, that was going to be 53 inches. So I multiplied my gauge ratio by 53, and that got me 58.5 inches. So that's what I would get as a bust circumference with my gauge. That's really close to the size 3, right? 58.5. It's really close to 60.5. It's pretty close. So I'm going to knit size 2, except when I get to anything that has to do with a row. Not really row gauge, but just the height of what I'm knitting, right? Because most patterns, they don't tell you knit X amount of rows unless you're doing some sort of chart pattern, right? Like a color work yoke or whatever. Usually they tell you like knit for 12 inches. And that's the case with this. So you would knit the body for 14 inches. You know, you knit a certain amount until the pocket, and then you knit a certain amount to the sleeve. And that was the same for every size up until the sleeve and yoke. So for this one, size 2 wanted 8.5 for the sleeve height, the height of the sleeve. And size 3 was 9.5. So I went with the measurements for size 3. Does that make sense? Because the width is coming out to be pretty close to what the size 3 is. I want to make sure the height is also close to what size 3 is. And here I am doing the inside of the pocket. And oh, this is upside down. So there's the pocket, and I have picked up along here. And I am knitting upwards to here. And I'm gonna graft the stitches up here at the top. is the blocked right front of the sweater. It's all pinned down in the sun. And I have a weird kind of thing happening in my sewing room. I rearranged everything. I've got a little beverage refrigerator in here now. And I moved my bookshelf. But I brought this up because I was going to say, like, if you have not completely transformed into your granny self, the final ingredient for that transformation is going to be some Werther's Originals. So get yourself a little jar of these in your sewing room and your transformation will be complete.